So Bubble 5B is a debugging task. So it says none of the hyperlinks are working on any of the pages for this site. Can you debug the code and fix them all? Okay, so as we take a look here at this first page, it looks like these four things are supposed to be links. And indeed, none of them actually appear to be hyperlinked, so that would appear to be a problem here. And as I look down through the file manager, I don't really see anything else. Yes, there's other files here, but they appear to be different images. Oh, down at the bottom though, here we go. All right, so here's this thing called personalities. Well, yeah, we got some problems there too. That's taking me to a blank page, so we want to take a look at that. All right, here's this thing called purpose and history. Take a look at that. We've got some issues. Here's this thing called visual differences. Yeah, we've got some issues. So one thing to note though is this is supposed to be Common Nav. All right, this one's missing one of them, but this one has all four. This one has all four, and two of them are actually linked here. They don't work, but they're there. So we don't actually have to make a ton of fixes here. All we really need to do is fix this once, and once we fix it once, we can copy and paste it out. So let's go back to the index, and let's take a look at what mess they created here. So the code for the Common Nav starts here on line 10 because I see the word href. All right, so I know that has to be a link. So right away here, especially if you're comparing this to the other three, you're saying, well, wait a minute, why did they use the colon? Which is good. They should not have used the colon. They should have used an equal sign. And you can see the very second I changed that, pink warning went away, and this linked itself because it's now got that blue underlined style that we're used to a link having. So if we look at line 12 now, notice it says a ref, not a href. So we want to change that one and update it to say href. Line 14 has a similar issue. All right, it says red. So let's make it say href. And this line here for visual on line 16 has a similar issue. It says ahef. Okay, well, we need to make it href. And now all these are functioning links. Or at least we hope. Let's check. So I checked purpose and history. It took me to the purpose and history page. I clicked personalities. It took me to that page. I clicked visual differences. It took me to that page. For reasons we've already explained earlier, the link to home right now isn't going to work, but we'll test it in a minute. So instead of me now going through and manually fixing all of those pieces of code on the other page, let's just copy out that chunk and we're just going to paste it in to the other pages so we know it works, because it already works once. So it should work now here when I need to use it again. So I'm going to go to the personalities page, and I'm just going to go over the top of where that code is now and paste that in. Now, one thing we can do now is we can check the link to home, and we can see that the link to home does indeed work. So that worked out quite well. Let's keep going. So here's the purpose page. Again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to copy over the top of where all those links are now and just paste it in. Again, I'll do it one more time on the visual page. I'm going to find where all that code is now. Copy over the top and paste it in. And now you've corrected all of the common navigation on this entire website. Bubble 6 is your assessment bubble, so let's take a look at what we need to do here. So it says to make your multi-page website, you need to add multiple pages to your project. To practice, let's split the content on the sample page into 2 pages and link them together. Add a new HTML file by clicking the Add HTML button. The new file will appear on the file list on the left side of the page. So you're going to hit this and make a separate page. So notice all of this content now is all on one page. So they've kind of got the introduction and then all the different types of tips for different types of hair. They want the introduction to be one page and all these tips to be a second page. So you're going to go ahead and make a second page. All right, you can call it whatever you want. And then you're going to copy and cut all this tip stuff and paste it onto the new page. Okay, so that's the first step. All right, and then once you do that, all right, you're going to link the two pages. So you want the index page to take you to your new page, and you want the new page to link you back to the home page. So really what they're saying is create common navigation in the style that you've seen throughout this chapter. So the link text can read whatever you want. You can call it home and hair tips, or back to home and more about hair, whatever you want those actual links to read. But you need to have links that are functional and that will take you from one page on your website to the other. Again, only 2 pages on this website. So that's your assessment bubble. You can go ahead and pause the video here so you can work on it, or you can continue on and work on the challenges with me in Bubble 7 and then come back and do the assessment later on. So taking a look at the challenges here in Bubble 7a, we're making an external link. So what they're talking about here is they're making a link to something that's somewhere else out on the internet. So it's not part of my file manager. It's not something I've created. It's going to take me to somewhere else. So if we take a look here at this website, as we can see down here on line 11, there's a link here that takes me to Google. Not that Google needs any more traffic, but here's a link to Google. So they want us to look at the code that links to Google and see how it works and link your favorite websites and why do you like them. So here, all right, as you can see, here's my blue hyperlink to Google, and what did they do? Well, they still do href equals, and they still do less than / a greater than. So that's not anything different. What's different is right here. Whereas before we would have had the name of a file like index.html. Now we've got the full HTTP address of something out on the internet. So it's the actual link to Google. If I came up here to my address bar and copied, that's what I would put. So that's the way we make a link to something external. It's not really any different than what we do normally. It's just the full address as opposed to the name of that file. So we can go ahead and make a link to something else. So I'm just going to come underneath that paragraph here, and I'm going to make a link to Yahoo Mail. So notice the first thing I did is I typed Yahoo Mail, and now I want to make a link to it. So I'm going to go in front of it, and I'm going to type href equals, and then in quotation marks, I put the full address of wherever it is I'm going. So that's http://mail.yahoo.com. And of course, remember, that's not the only thing. So that's why it didn't link up right away. It's because after the mail part, after the word mail, all right, I need to add less than / a greater than. And hopefully if we do everything right, I should see Yahoo Mail become a link. And indeed it is, so we know we did that correctly. And of course you can click it and it'll take you to Yahoo Mail. Okay, so not too difficult there. All right, so 7b is kind of the same concept. 7b is about how to make an image function as a link. So if you take a look, here's this page that we've seen before on the world's biggest waterfalls. So notice you've got some classes and stuff in here like that we've also done before. Again, this is taking a page that we've worked on before and bringing it back in a new way. So here's this button that takes me to all the information about Angel Falls. And as you can see, when I clicked on the picture, it took me to that web page. So how did they do it? Well, it's literally just taking and putting 2 pieces of code together. So if we look at line 13, we can see here that here's the image code we've already come to know and love. All right, so it's image, and they've got the source, and they've got the alt text, and it's also part of a class. So that's all the stuff we knew before we walked in today. And what did they do? They wrapped that with the link code. So on the outside of it, in front of it, is ahref equals, and then the name of the file. And after it is the name or the closing tag, the /a. So that then is just like link text. So before, what we had seen in the previous bubbles, it would have been like this. Okay, as you can see, I just deleted the actual picture for a moment to show you. Okay, that's exactly what we knew from all the previous bubbles today. It's a link text. All they did is they replaced the text with the code for a picture. And so the picture functions as a link, whereas before the text would have functioned as the link. So as you can see, this next one down is also done for us. So they want us to do the exact same thing for one of these two down here, or we could do it for both. So let's just do this first one here on line 17, this one for Victoria Falls. So it's really important before we start, though, we know what's the name of the file I'm linking to. So I don't know what the name of the file is I'm linking to, I'm not going to have a lot of luck. And as you can see, it's called victoriafalls.html. So we're going to go in front of that block of code. We're going to type less than a href equals, and then in quotation marks, the name of my file. Notice there's two Victoria Falls page. One is the image, one is the HTML. So if I really just wanted to look at the picture full size, I could link to that JPEG. All right, but I want to link to the HTML. All right, and then after that chunk of code, after the end of that, I guess I'll call it a paragraph, even though it's probably not a good descriptor here. All right, I'm going to add less than /a greater than. And now, when I click on this picture, if I did everything right, boom, it takes me to the Victoria Falls page, so I know I did everything correctly.